G'day brewers, in this video we're going to talk about this, my latest attempt at a non-alcoholic hazy pale ale. I'll walk you through how I took the second runnings of a bigger beer to create a juicy, fruity, non-alcoholic version of those hazies we all know and love. Stay tuned. The grist for our hazy IPA will be 100% super blend, and it's actually the second runnings from another beer that we'll talk about in a later episode. While we're going here, I'll just talk a little bit about this setup. I've got my mash tun here because I'm doing a party guile method with this one. In other words, we're going to use the second runnings for a second beer, but I just thought I'd show you this first mash tun will get drained into our boiler, and our grains will then be rinsed a second time, which will make our second runnings, and from that we will create our hazy pale ale. The strike water for those second runnings are in my hot liquor tank at the moment. Now, even though with the party guile method you're kind of stuck with a grain grist, I'm going to add some rolled oats to my strike water to try and get some of those beta glucans into the strike water before I get my second runnings. I'm going to go for 500 grams, and hopefully I guess this is about right. Yeah, 500 grams. I'm going to throw that in with the strike water, and hopefully that does great things for us. Notice I've got a little grain basket in here to keep my oats away from the element and to get them out easier later on. I'm also going to add a couple of grams of this antitoxin, which is a tannic acid product. The idea is that it's going to bind to any of those metals that become cofactors in the oxidation reactions later down the track and drops them to the bottom of the kettle. So I'm trying to get my oats without the oxidative potential that they bring to the party. So that's the idea of this antitoxin product, to drop out those metals, manganese, things like that, that will cause problems with oxidation later down the track. Now we're going to transfer our strike water from the hot liquor tank to our mash tun for our second runnings. For bittering, I'm going to add 10 grams of Citra at 30 minutes and 20 grams of Citra at 10 minutes. The reason I've selected Citra for these additions is because they have a lot of survivables that hang around even in the boil. For my hop stand additions, I've chosen 50 grams of Cascade, hoping that it'll release some of that beautiful grapefruit aroma, and 50 grams of El Dorado. We're doing our hop stand at 70 degrees Celsius so that we don't drive off all of those volatiles that we want to keep for our finished beer. Okay, so my starting gravity for this beer was only 10.09, which is a bit lower than what I wanted. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some lactose. I'm going to measure out 250 grams, which is about half of this bag. And I'm going to add that to the fermenter. I'll add it in 2 lots. That's 160 grams. Gonna make that into a slurry. Then for our dry hop, we're going to use 50 grams of Nelson, hoping that some of those beautiful aromatics will hang around in our finished pale ale. And finally, I'm going to pitch a pack of Lonar yeast from Lallemand. This is a low alcohol yeast and it's recommended that it's pasteurized after fermentation. As far as I can understand, this Lonar yeast will only eat the glucose in solution, so it'll leave behind the maltriose and maltose, giving you a fuller, sweeter beer at the end of the day. If you don't pasteurize your beer following fermentation, you are at risk then of other microbes eating up those sugars to overcarbonate your beer and give you plenty of off flavors. So be warned. You will get bottle bombs if you do not pasteurize these beers. We're also going to add 250 grams of dry malt extract. I know this is a low alcohol beer, but these maltose and maltriose shouldn't be eaten up by the Lonar yeast, so we'll hopefully retain those sugars in the finished beer. Let's see how we go. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going pretty heavy on trying to jam some fruit flavor into this beer. I'm going to use my pineapple extract, Pineapple Express extract that I've got left over from the earlier experiment we did with that. I've got about half a vial left, so that'll add something. I've got some biofine I'm adding for head retention, because if I'm going to the effort of adding these in an oxygen-free transfer, I might as well. And I've made my tincture of lemon myrtle leaves, so I'm going to add that essence to the keg once it's filled. So the plan is I'll add them to this bottle and dilute it with some water and then add that to the keg through an oxygen-free transfer. All right, let's do it. Depends how brave, how deep you want to go. That's enough for me. I just want the liquid in there and not any excess gas or oxygen. So I've left a little bit in the bottom, but that's been diluted, so the majority of that has made it into the keg. Okay, brewers, so here's the finished beer. Pale yellow colour, very hazy. I've lost a bit, but it's got a nice white head on it. For a non-alcoholic beer, I don't mind that. If you want a darker beer, you're going to chase it with other malts, and that's going to be problematic for your flavour as well. So I'm quite happy to let the hops do the talking in this one and settle for that colour. All right, let's dive into the aroma. Okay, so I'm getting hints of mango, maybe guava, pineapple. And I think there's a hint of that leafy cannabis herbal-like quality to it. But it's very fine, it's very light. Maybe I'm imagining it. But I think there is a little bit of that there. Let's dive in and check the taste. So I'll talk about the mouthfeel. It is smooth and velvety. It's quite good. It's quite good. I think we've achieved a lot with that for a non-alcoholic beer. There's a little bit of malt sweetness from the light malt extract. In terms of flavour, we get this malt backbone, which is not big. It's still a low alcohol beer, but it's there. Enough sweetness just to support the hop flavours. We've got a bit of lingering bitterness on the back end, which is okay. That's fine for me. I'm happy with that. In terms of hop flavour, we're getting that mango, papaya, maybe pineapple in there as well. And there's a little bit of that resinous, piney, and even that herbal cannabis type quality on the back end. It's subtle though, because I haven't added much. But I think it's there, just enough on the back end of the palate. It in the aftertaste is when you pick up most of it. All in all, I'm pretty happy with it. It's a pretty good compromise for a brew day to sneak a small beer like this out of a normal brew day of a bigger beer. And if you want to know how to do that for yourself, check out this video, which details my party guile method for getting a bonus non-alcoholic brew out of a normal brew day.